over the world, how to interact and empower the animals in which they live with using positive reinforcement and applied behavior analysis. What day is today? It's Sunday, April 19th, 2002, and we're in the midst of this crazy new world with the pandemic that's happening. Over a month ago, I believe it was March 14th. I didn't post it, but the Animal Behavior Center has been live streaming Coffee with the Critters every Sunday morning for the past 5 years. So a belated happy anniversary to Coffee with the Critters. So every Sunday morning we live stream here at 9 a.m. Eastern, unless otherwise noted. Sometimes we do Cocktails with the Critters, which I seriously considered doing the Cocktails with the Critters tonight. But I chose to do a Coffee with the Critters. But you can find on our Facebook page, you will find whenever our live streams are scheduled. And you can find that right here on our Facebook page. We post it in the events section and we have the topic. Sometimes we have guests on, which we do have a guest coming up. And sometimes it's just me. Sometimes I go live and do actual training. We focus on animal behavior training and enrichment. Good morning, Bobby. Good morning, Adrienne. Good morning, Brianna, Carrie. I hope everybody is staying safe and sane. But we also, you can join our email newsletter list, which you can sign up for it here on our Facebook page, where it's shown whenever we have an event, including our live stream events, Coffee with Critters. We post it here on our Facebook page as well. Trying to think of anything new. Usually when I begin, I start off with what we've been doing the past week. And what we've been doing here at the Animal Behavior Center for the past week is what we've been doing every day for the past 30 plus days. So you can find out by going to our Facebook page. I've been trying to live streaming. I'm doing a ton of training. So since we went into lockdown over a month ago, we are an essential business, but I chose to let everybody go home and be safe with their family and friends. A couple of our volunteers are nurses. Some are in the front line, ER nurses, so they're extremely busy at this time. And we want everybody just to focus on staying safe at home with their family and friends. So every day for the past 6 weeks, I've been here primarily by myself, interacting with 16 animals and taking care of them. And I'm ready for some help. So every day here for the past 6 weeks has been a Monday. Very long days. I am cleaning cages, getting animals out, getting animals running, exercises, doing a ton of training, being creative with enrichment, because to us here we focus on behavior training and enrichment. We do a lot of our enrichment is through our training, because studies show if you're actually using positive reinforcement training, it's the animal's preferred form of enrichment. So cleaning is not our top priority. It's not the top priority. It is a top priority, but what I am finding very essential is enrichment, especially when we have no volunteers in. That's getting ready to change. And so that social enrichment, those of you that are in our online level 1 and level 2 membership program, heard the podcast this past week about social studies show that social enrichment is one of the most complex form of enrichment. Now that we are all in lockdown, we're feeling the effects of lack of choice, lack of enrichment through non-changing environments, lack of enrichment through social enrichment. We also talked about how now live streaming is extremely popular because it's the only way many of us are being able to stay in contact with outside family members. It does help, but it's no replacement for actual physical contact, being face to face with people. But it has to do. We have to stay safe. So I know, good morning, everybody. I know here in the state of Ohio, starting May 1st, our governor has said we're going to start going back to work in phases, entering phase 1. And I'm telling you, here at the Animal Behavior Center and here in my household, we will still not be going out. We are still not going to be going out. I will still do all my shopping online. I haven't stayed in isolation for 6 weeks for to blow it now. I have a lot of things keeping me busy. But we are going to start letting volunteers back in, even though I did say we are an essential business, but I chose to let everybody stay home, be safe with your family. We have 2 families here of volunteers who are being impacted with COVID-19. So we're trying to flatten the curve here at the Animal Behavior Center as well. I hope everybody is doing good. I see a lot of very familiar faces, and Daniela and Dawn, I did get your packages in the mail this week. I appreciate you guys. Because I've been taking care of all 16 animals by myself and trying to get animals switched and moved around, different environments. It has been a lot of long days, but I'm telling you what, a lot of those days it's really opened my eyes to what really is our mission here. And we need to make sure we stay on track, because I've seen some very happy animals. By happy, I mean excited to interact and train at the level at which I'm focusing on training them now. And it's been amazing. It's been amazing. Some behaviors we've struggled with here as a group in the past couple of months, since I've been in isolation for the past 6 weeks. Boom, those behaviors are starting to happen. And it's because, and I've started to feel bad, like I've been getting too busy and going to the zoo and having volunteers doing a lot of the training. And what I've seen is I haven't been there to give them the guidance that they want, that they need, and that they deserve. So I will be out with my volunteers a lot more. I'm not going to say anytime soon. So they're going to start coming in, and well, just a couple of them, because 2 are nurses. They will stay out in the field. 2 families have been impacted by COVID-19 already. 2 other families are going to start actively coming in. So we will have only 1 person in the bird room at the time, which is birds and lemurs, and that will be me. And then only 1 person or 1 family can come in the other room at a time. We've had a pretty strict here. A couple of volunteers have come in just a handful of times over the past 6 weeks. Very strict, because I care about them too. I care about their families. So anyways, that is why I chose to have a Q&A today instead of a guest. We'll probably have a guest on next week. I need to arrange it with her, but it will be in the field of dog training. Hey, Sue. So I said, hey, Sue, not hey, Siri.
Sorry, I couldn't quite hear you. Could you please repeat what you said?
No, you need to go away right now, please.
I'm not sure I understand.
You will when I turn you off. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Is everybody staying sane? Obviously, I'm having a hard time with that. Before we get started, I just wanted to talk a little bit. I appreciate everybody that is in our memberships and our projects. We here at the Animal Behavior Center, we live stream our services, the majority of our services, not all, about 90% of them. Anyways, We do that through our level 1 membership, level 2 membership. Level 1 is for companion animals, where we have live stream Q&As, podcasts, activities. And level 2 is more for professionals or people thinking about getting in the field. Level 2, we had professional dog trainers, zoo trainers, board certified behavior analysts, and I'm sure I'm forgetting some, rescues. Those are more intense. We just had a business week meeting 2 weeks ago, online live stream business meeting. Last week we did a live stream on creating webinars. So I'm trying to find things that we've been doing the live streaming for 5 years or 6 years. Our business services. So I'm trying to help the businesses that are in there. And I got a lot of good reviews after this past week's live stream on creating webinars and how to make those work for your business. So now is the time to do our business virtually if we haven't been. And you can find out more about what we do here at theanimalbehaviorcenter.com. That is our website. With all of our services. And what I wanted to say was showing this is some of our projects and our memberships are the highest in attendance they have ever been. The Parrot Project, last I looked, was 87 members. That's the most we've had since we've started. So people are signing up and saying, now that I have the time to do this, let's sit down and do it. And they're seeing the importance. We also have live streaming services that are species specific, such as the Parrot Project, the Pig Project, the Deaf Dog Project. So if you have any questions about those, you can reach me personally through our contact form on our website, theanimalbehaviorcenter.com. And you can email me personally at Laura, Lara, at theanimalbehaviorcenter.com. So good morning, everybody. Hope everybody is staying safe and finding some ways to stay sane. I know that I'm talking to my animals quite a bit. I also talk to myself quite a bit. And I agree with me. And if I don't, well, you just want to know the consequences. But a couple of things that have happened here in the past week that I want to show you during the day. We are training a lot of the exotics. So here, now is the time for all of my animals to stay safe. Don't get in fights. Don't get sick. I'm very happy to say that I am so thankful. Some of the behaviors that we train our animals, such as voluntary nail trims. Here's a head target because Coco fell, and I found blood on the ground in his enclosure last week. And I was just like, there was no need for panic. I asked him what I needed him to do, and we train him. Coco does not step up onto us yet, but I've trained him a head target because it teaches him where I want his head to be. This is a bird that used to would bite you as soon as it could. And all of my training has been paying off. I can't get Rocky to the vet to do a nail trim. Okay, so we're doing nail trims here because we can't get to the vet to do these husbandry and grooming behaviors. And we don't necessarily have to if we can train these at home now. So I found where the blood was coming from, and it was coming from his wing. Coco cannot fly, so I cued him up to his perch, asked him for a head target, and a head target tells him where I want his head to be while I'm doing a wing examination. Because if I don't have his head in my hand, when I go to pull out his wing, his beak is likely to turn to find out where I am, what I am doing. And I don't want his beak anywhere near my hands, because one of the things he may do, he may bite out of fear of not understanding what I'm asking of him. So that head target lets him know, because I've taught him, I want your head right here while I do other things to your body. So I was able to pull his wing out, and I saw where the blood was coming, like right where my index finger is, where the blood was coming. I was ready to call my vet if I needed to, but I was able to wipe the blood off, see where it was coming from, and it looked like wasn't a broken blood feather, but it was the feather coming apart at the shaft where it goes into the skin and the bone. L.M. Burton says, we need to talk. Email me. I'll be on my computer immediately after this live stream. Jack Pine, who was a guest, was it last week or the week before? I don't know. I'm lucky to know that this is even Sunday. Jack says, one of my goats just broke a horn. Got to trim it, clean it, disinfect it, take photos, videos, and send it to a vet for assessment. She is now doing well. And this is what we had in the Parrot Project last week. Was it last week or the week before? I can't remember. We had Dr. Todd Driggers, avian board certified exotic veterinarian, in the Parrot Project to say, what do the vet visits look like now? What should we be prepared for? What should we be willing to, be able to do? What are we looking at now in case there is an emergency? So something else with this photo is you always hear me say, no matter what the animal, keep your animals used to change. You never know. 3 months ago, would you have thought we would have been here in this situation? So I am having to wear a mask, which the awesome Don Graham had made this for me and sent this to me. So I put the mask on. None of my animals are used to seeing me in a mask. I put it on a couple of weeks ago. I had to run somewhere. Where did I go? It wasn't into a store, but I wore it anyways. Drop off my tax papers. And I put it on to see what my dogs would do, and they all stared at me. Levi, our deaf dog, did bark a couple times, but I told him, it's okay. He can't read my mouth anymore because it's covered, but he knows what this means, sign language. So I wore it in the bird room because I do have 3 lung concerns. 2 of those are diseases, and most of those are from working with animals. So that's why I always say, be prepared, protect yourself in numerous different ways, for numerous different reasons. So I'm wearing a mask because I'm in the bird room. This was a couple of weeks ago when it was still cold. So we do have 3 different filtration systems running. We do have fans in the windows, but it was too cold out to put those fans at the level that they needed to be. So I was wearing a mask to protect my lungs from the dust. Keep your animals used to change. When I put the mask on, what I did was I shape it, which means reinforcing small approximations to the target behavior. Hey, Jim Gillis from the UK, I see you on here. I hope you're doing well. Hold it up, bridge, which is good. Deliver a reinforcer. Nice job. Okay. Put it on one ear, bridge, good. Deliver a reinforcer. Nice job. Good job, everybody. And then I was able to put it on rather quickly because I do keep my animals used to change. So they were just like, something's different happening. Oh, this is what she's shaping us to accept. And that started with, starts with numerous things. I do numerous things here with my animals to get them used to change. Here's one thing that's extremely important is I will do, this is with all the animals here, except for Snow, and sometimes with Levi, because neither one of them can hear. I will walk around, and my animals know this very well. They know something is going to happen on the count of 3, but they have no idea what it is. So be prepared. And I do it at a level. I will start out with something minor and then start increasing what that is to a moderate level to a more extreme level. And I will walk around in the center with the birds, with the pigs, with the dogs, with whatever with the lemurs, and I will go 1, 2, 3, and then I'll bring in the event that they have no idea what it is. And sometimes it's just me rolling up a paper towel, and I'll go 1, 2, and I throw it up in the air, and you'll see animals watch it. And then it comes down, and they'll look to me for, what do I do next? And then I say good and deliver the reinforcer. And so many of our animals here will work for attention. I'm trying to think if we have one animal here that is not a social animal. Lemurs? No. Parrots? No. Yes, they're both social. Pigs? Yes. Dogs? Yes. Fish? Yes. Vulture? Yes. Pigeon? Yes. Kookaburra? Yes. Yes. So all of our animals here are social versus working something that's not social or has not been properly socialized, such as raptors. Not all of them, but a lot of them. So, hey, Karen, good to see you on here. So yeah, I do this with all the animals, even the dogs. I will do 1, 2, 3, and then I'll take an object and lift it above their heads. And then with the ones that, with Levi that can't hear, but he can see, his bridge is, and then I deliver attention as a reinforcer by going, and you see him when I do this is like, party, this is time to party. You did great, Levi. You'll see him wiggle his butt and tilt his head sideways. So that's when I know I'm doing a good job. We did that here with, because as you know, as much as you try to control your environment, and I do try to control my environment, and that is due to keeping animals, I need to keep my animals safe. So I need to control their environment at certain different levels. Control is not a bad word. We all do it. We do it with our kids. We don't want our kids playing in the street. We want our kids staying safe. So we can teach people and animals through information. Give them information. With a lot of this that's happening out there now, as it was starting to happen, I was feeling scared, nervous, because I have never lived through something like this before. So I have never had to think about it outside of The Walking Dead. So what I did to make myself feel safe was search for information. So, and finding reliable sources, unbiased sources to find that information, to educate myself. So then if I've got information, I can then transfer it to every other being I come into contact with to stay safe and know what we need to do. Let me see what Jack is saying. Jack says, my camels, and there's a couple animals out there that make me nervous. And 1 are horses, 2 is camels. Camels are like horses on steroids because they can kick sideways. And I don't understand camel behavior, even though one of the zoos I work at has a large amount of camels, and I have trained them. If I'm scared and I don't understand, if I'm scared, it's because I don't understand. So I begin understanding through training. And that is why I train alligators, giraffe, primates, what have you. So Jack says, my camels are social, but can be a bit emotional if they see my training whistle used as a bridge, especially with new behaviors. They know that something is up. And they also know, right, Jack, through past experience with you, seeing the whistle is a cue that training is getting ready to start. And if you're using positive reinforcement training to the best of your ability, they see that cue, they know to not be nervous because you communicate with them through training and you're going to shape their confidence levels. So they know that whistle is, they can anticipate what's getting ready to happen. Okay. Wow, we've got a lot of questions. A horse can kick sideways like a camel. I didn't know a horse could kick sideways, but I don't know a lot about horses either. Even though when I first got into this line of work, using applied behavior analysis with animals, do you know I was barrel racing horses? And I didn't know a lot about horses. It was new, it was different, and I'm kind of a thrill seeker. So we're training the exotics during the day and training our dogs, my dogs primarily at night, even though this is Snow, our deaf and blind dog. She's sitting here waiting to greet me and her tail is blurry because it's wagging. She can't see me walk down the stairs. She can't hear me walk down the stairs, but she can feel me coming into closer proximity. And with that, she can smell as well. So she knows her ears are back and down and her tail is wagging. So she knows I'm approaching. Okay. So with that, this is, a Q&A. So I want to hear, especially during these times, with us being in stay at home, what are your concerns, questions that you're wanting to know more about? I did see Julie Faflick talk about something about separation anxiety, and this is something we are talking about in level 1 to prevent separation anxiety. Donna Faust says, I just wanted to thank you for your live stream. Sometimes I can't watch because I'm working, but when I can watch, they make my day. Thank you, Donna. And our replays are always available immediately after. And if you sign up to our YouTube account, all of them are uploaded there. It takes about a day, but our manager, Karen Pratt, gets them up usually within 24 hours on our YouTube station. So Julie says, my young Goffin cockatoo cries when I turn off the lights at night. Maybe we address this in the Parrot Project because, Julie, I need to ask you a lot of questions. So my first question, Julie, is going to be, when did this start? Hey, thanks, Karen. There's the awesome Karen Pratt. Not sure if this could be separation anxiety. I'm not sure if it is either, Julie. So one thing we can do, and we're talking about this in level 1 right now, ways to prevent separation anxiety, because right now most of us are home all day, every day, and I'm sure our animals are loving it. But what's going to happen when it's time for us to go back to work? So we need to shape this. So we're telling people, put your dogs in another room while you go work, even if it's on your computer for an hour, to get them used to, or staying used to, not being around you all the time. If you have to leave for periods of time. Yeah, so Julie says with her cockatoo, this has happened ever since she got her. I don't know how long that is. And you said you were hand feeding her. Okay. I don't know how old your cockatoo is, Julie, so I'm trying to figure out how long this has been. And saying that it's only crying at night could be because I don't know how old your cockatoo is and how long this has been. She's weaned now. She's only doing it at night. So I would try to, it's probably because she's a social creature. She's probably in her cage at night. Lights go out is a cue that you're going away for a long period of time, 8 hours. I would redirect her attention to something else before you shut the lights off. And then, if you can, slowly fade down the lights. That's just one of many things I would suggest. So, Mary Florence, hey, Mary, out there in New York, right, Mary? I hope you're staying safe. All the pandemic puppies are at risk for separation anxiety. Lots of people who work from home don't realize that the first time they go out, they are in for a great surprise. We can still shape this. We can still shape this. We don't have to be around our puppies all the time. I mean, even when my 3 dogs were puppies, which was 7 years ago and 3 years ago, I still worked on this. You can still do the crate training. I highly advise every animal stay used to a crate because you never know when you're going to need to use it. So these are times where, same as Bill, you may be needing that. So you can still crate and go into another room. You can crate and go out on your front porch. You can crate and go out and hopefully very soon plant flowers. The dog doesn't need, or the other animals do not need to be around us all the time. Okay. Sue says, my Belgian Malinois has been enjoying more walks and having us home, but but about halfway flips a switch and bucks like a psycho bronco. Okay, there's something, it's happening for a reason. Is it length of time? Is he overstimulated? Is something outside overstimulating him? How are you walking him? Is it on a flat buckle collar? Is it on a harness? Is something bothering him? Do you know how much period of time? Is there usually a period of time that happens before this behavior happens? You need to find out the best you can why the undesired behavior is happening, because when you figure out what the why is, you have identified the reinforcer. And is that, rule out everything you can. Like, is the harness uncomfortable? Has something been paired with this? Is something being paired or anticipated through the walk and sending him? Is it fear? Is it overstimulation? I would need to know what they are. The next thing I'm going to ask you is, what do you want the dog to do instead? But we need to identify why that is happening in the first place. Make sure it's not pain. Have him seen by a vet to make sure it's not pain. And Jack says as well, Tim, remind me, I want to get tears too about the kinkajou. One of the hardest things about training animals is recognizing when they are training you, which is pretty much always. Yeah, and you know something else, Jack, I always say, I don't mind if an animal trains me, because it's not just about you, it's about me, and it's about us building that relationship together. So, like when I walk in the bird room, Rico knows he can control me, and I'm okay with that. I want that form of communication. I control you, you control me. To certain extents. And he knows if he goes to a station and says hi, I will walk over and give him a kiss. He also knows if he's out, he walks over and grabs the syringe and throws it across the room. And when it hits the floor, because throwing it across the table has not gotten my attention, he throws it across the room. He wants syringe training to start, because that is when he gets one of those positive reinforcers, and only at that time. Okay. So there's a lot of questions coming in. And here's something I want to expand on based on what Jack says. This is one of the hard things about, I always say, the animals are intelligent as they need to be. The more intelligent the animal, the harder it is to train. This is why there are so many behavior issues within the pig community, within the parrot community, in the dog community. So many times I see pigs training their caretakers, which is not a bad thing. But what I'll see is like behaviors labeled as aggression is huge in the pig community. And I need pigs to understand contingency of whatever I'm training, meaning if this, then this. If this happens, then this happens. Milo, when you put all 4 feet on your bed, which is a station, one of many, then this happens. And he knows that pigs love to eat anything. He knows that if all 4 feet go on that station, treats will fall from the sky. And he knows that here's where they start training you. Find what behavior you want them to do instead and reinforce that behavior, because what will happen, this happens a lot, is pigs will go to their station, and this is usually a replacement behavior for charging people, new people in the house, new people coming to the door. Pigs are notorious for they head swipe like this, and pigs are fast. They are fast. Our pig here can outrun our Rottweiler, our Border Collie, and our Bulldog. Anything can outrun our Bulldog. No, Levi's pretty fast, but they're like little bullets on these tiny little legs, and they can move really fast. And when that mouth is moving towards you and it is open, it is one of the scariest things, scarier than a camel, to me, because it happens so fast. They're so quick, and you didn't even see it coming. Well, you can see it coming. So here is a common, and whether you have pigs, I don't know what you have, but keep this an open mind to any animal. And that could be the pig goes to the station, okay? And whoever's training the pig is taking too big of steps in shaping duration, or forgets and turns around and starts doing the dishes, and the pig's over there like, hey man, I'm on my station, where's my treats? So the reinforcer stops being delivered because the person is no longer paying attention. And then so the pig comes off the station, and maybe that doesn't get the caretaker's attention, but it does when he charges you. So you're too busy doing the dishes, the charge happens, and then you're, Milo, no, go back to your station. So he goes to a station, you deliver a reinforcer. What did you just train? Okay, you have to catch the undesired behavior and shape duration of the alternate behavior before the undesired behavior can happen again. What did you accidentally just train? You just taught that pig to come over and charge you and make that physical contact to get your attention, so you tell it to go back to the station, and then the reinforcer will be delivered. You are well on your way to training a series of very unwanted behaviors. So the alternative is pay attention. This is why I say have intended training sessions where I know I need to do the dishes, but I also need to train my pig. So I'm not going to necessarily focus on doing the dishes. I'm going to do the dishes during a training session. And I'm going to be listening or watching for you staying on your station and reinforcing successive periods of time, longer in duration, because yes, Diane, hey, Diane Garrett, you've developed a behavior chain, a very undesired one. And that is so common in the pig community. It is so common. It's so common in all animal communities. You have to pay attention. And in paying attention, you can then use intermittent schedules of reinforcement to create duration. Okay. So if I need to pay attention, I will be doing the dishes with my primary focus not being on the dishes. And then I'm going to shape periods of time of duration of that pig staying on that station. And then say, the phone rings. And I look, and it's mom. I need to take this call. Okay. So I'm going to go before I pick up that phone. This is why it's so important to keep your animals used to change. And we can do that through training. I can ask Milo, go into the living room. Please go into the living room. Once you do, bridge, deliver positive reinforcement in the form of a foraging toy to occupy attention, shut the gate. Shut the gate so an accidental encounter and an accidental training of an undesired behavior cannot happen because that gate is there. And then I can go pick up the phone and talk to my mom. And once I'm off the phone, I can set it down and start a training session again. But it will, with the intention of it coming to a point where Milo is on his station, phone rings. Siri, answer the phone. And I can sit there and talk to mom. And because I've created duration through intermittent schedules of reinforcement, which there are several, I can once in a while be like, good, toss a Cheerio. Okay. Then go do the dishes and I turn around and look and it's 5 minutes later. Good. Boom. Toss a Cheerio. Go over, start polishing my nails, which I rarely do. And it's been 2 minutes. Good. Toss a Cheerio. But a station is a target with duration. It's a place for an animal to go for a period of time. Stations assist in training. Stations are not places for animals to go for long periods of time, such as an hour. Okay. I always hear people, I hear a lot in the parrot community, I can't keep my bird on its station. It always flies off of me and wants to be with me. Number one, I would say, well, what are you reinforcing the behavior with? If it wants to fly off and be with you, bam, there is your reinforcer, which is attention, to be with you. So give it to him when he's on his station. Give the bird, the dog, the pig, the horse, the alligator, not the alligator, the giraffe, the attention when it's on its station. Okay, makes sense. And a lot of times people say, but it comes off of its station and it's on me before I can bridge and reinforce for staying on its station. Well, then get closer and you need to shape that and you need to shape duration. You need to shape distance. You need to shape period of time, which is duration. Yes. Julie says, good reminder that we are always training our animals. We are. If that animal can see, hear, smell, or feel us, we are training it, whether we realize it or not. Key question is, what are you training it to do? At the zoo, people, a lot of times the keepers will say, I can't get into the animal's enclosure to change water or feed. And I'm like, what's the history of reinforcement of this undesired behavior of the animal coming to the door, blocking to the door? You can shift them to another part of the cage. And then I'm like, well, if you think about it, the only time you're going into their enclosure is to feed or water, right? So they have learned that you have unknowingly or accidentally trained the behavior of the animal coming to the door and staying at the door. Skinner said, you must never reinforce an undesired behavior. And he is exactly correct. And I'm going to tell you, good luck with that. Good luck with that, because a lot of times you don't know you reinforced an undesired behavior until it already happened. But you do have that opportunity. Recognize this isn't an issue yet, but it's going to if it keeps happening. And if those keepers have to come in every AM and every PM to feed, and this behavior of standing in front of the enclosure is maintaining or increasing, you are reinforcing it. Something is reinforcing. It may not be specific, may not be you. It may be you paired with the food, with the opportunity to eat the food. You must never reinforce an undesired behavior. You must never let that giraffe bend down and eat out of the bucket that you're carrying into the enclosure at the front. Okay? What do you want him to do instead? If you're doing this every AM, PM, and that giraffe is starting to get food, maintaining or increasing, 2 times a day, this undesired behavior is being reinforced. Now you have to counter condition, which if you would have, if we could have just found another behavior, what we want them to do instead that brings the reinforcer, okay, like target your butt cheeks to that corner, okay, that's what brings the reinforcer. It is never delivered at the door unless that's what you want them. What do you want them to do instead? So every AM, every PM for a month now is called a history of reinforcement. How long is this history of reinforcement of this undesired behavior? A month, 2 times a day for a month. So 60 times. Now we have to retrain. We have to counter condition. The problem with that is we could have caught it in the beginning. When giraffe puts his head in the bucket and I look and say, this could be an issue, especially when you're 15 feet tall. Okay, when you get to be 15 feet tall, that's going to be a major issue. So when that little red flag goes up and I see his head go in the bucket, and I'm like, I don't really want this behavior happening here. I see that. I'm always observing, identifying, gathering reinforcers, trying to prevent undesired behaviors. Undesired behaviors are not necessarily just undesired by me. They can cause future potential problems. So how am I going to get this massive animal to listen to me? Well, I train it. That's how I do it. The problem with counter conditioning and retraining is this giraffe now has a 1-month history of learning and knowing that reinforcement has been delivered at that front door. And if you forget to reinforce the butt cheeks on the wall, if the animal gives you the alternate behavior and you do not reinforce that behavior, you reinforce behavior, you don't reinforce an animal. If you do not reinforce the behavior of the butt cheeks in the corner, then the animal's going to start moving and experimenting with its environment to see what earns reinforcement. And he knows he has a 1-month history of reinforcement of knowing that it has happened, it has worked for him in the past at that front door. So more than likely, he's going to go back to the front door. So I don't care what the animal is. If it's breathing and moving or just breathing, it's learning. Okay? So, yes, Lisa says tiger. Were you talking about a tiger before then? I've taught tigers to... I've taught tigers to hand target, to wait, to nose target. The alligators, I love training alligators. And hopefully I can do that again this summer because they're getting ready to build a big plank out into the alligators because I need to get in their enclosure. I have trained them through off contact and protective contact nose targets. Come when cued, which is a pair of metal forceps on a metal chain going ding, ding, ding. That is a conditioned reinforcer. Boom, boom, boom is always paired with meat in mouth and not me. They know to expect something to come from the side and turn your head and eat it. So when they are out in their pond and you can't even see how many alligators are in there because sometimes they're sitting below the grass and I can go up and go ding, ding, ding. And what you'll see is 6 alligators raise from the middle of the grass and start walking towards me. And that is the coolest thing. Alligators are one of my favorites to train. That is the coolest thing. And last year at the zoo, so many people would be like, oh my God, look, they're all coming. Well, yeah, they are, because I trained them to do that. And I trained them in the middle of winter when they were off exhibit, and I was standing right in front of them. And I just conditioned reinforcer. I would just sit there right in front of them, in front of, what do I want to call it? Their enclosure. Yeah, sorry. And I would sit there and go, bam, food and mouth. Bam, food and mouth. And I kept doing that over and over, over and over. And that is called a conditioned reinforcer. It's the same thing as saying, come, and the dog runs to you. So I'm sitting here pairing it with the food, delivery of the food. So this is going to become a cue, that sound, boom, and I'm doing it right in front of them. And then I start increasing distance. This is how we were able to get the alligators out of their enclosures in the middle of winter in a building and recall train them back and forth down a hallway. And I did that for enrichment, mental enrichment. That is why I train, to empower animals and provide the best mental enrichment I can possibly give them, because my biggest competitor is Mother Nature, and I will always compete with her because I want my bar that high. I will not stop because I will never be able to match it. But when I think big, I do big, and I'm always thinking big. So Georgia says you get so excited talking about them. I do. I am so excited about training the alligators. I get excited about training fish. And why? Because I get to know them. And we had a fish here die. His name was Ace. He was big koi. And I cried so hard when he died. Because, do you know why? Because I trained him for several years, and he knew me, and I knew that fish, and I taught him to train station, go into a bucket, target, swim through a hoop. You stay in that part of the pond, because he would always swim up to the little ones that I was just starting to train, and he would snag all their food. So what do you want him to do instead? I was like, okay, well, I don't want him here. He's scaring all my fish, and he's positively punishing my training session with these small fish. Then they're going to stop coming up to me because big bulldozer over here keeps coming up and stealing all the food. So what do I want you to do instead? Ace, go to your station. He would swim to the back of the pond, and there comes your 4 main factors of reinforcer effectiveness. Size, which is amount. Sit back of the pond, boom, 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 boom. It's much more valuable. And then when he comes up to the front, nothing. Extinction. When it goes back to the back, differential reinforcement. Boom, boom, boom. Reinforcing one or more behavior, alternate behaviors, while extinguishing, meaning ignoring the ones you want to go away. That is also, differential reinforcement is one of the fastest ways to change behavior. Get a screaming bird. What do you want them to do instead? Ring a bell. Make sure you want to hear that bell. Because Rocky over there ringing the hell out of that bell. And I'm like, okay. Then I've trained duration through intermittent schedules of reinforcement. And sometimes he would like ring it a little bit, and then I wouldn't pay attention. So he'd grab that bell and bam, 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 bam. It's a lot better than a scream. And what happens is it makes me laugh. And it's a form of communication. And he can train me. Lisa asked me, question, do you have children? No. No human children. Mm-mm. I have no children. Why do you ask, Lisa? I had a dream the other night, like this coronavirus and stay at home is starting to impact my dreams. I had a dream the other night that I had a child, and I can't remember, but it was in a black jumpsuit, and it was like getting into the flour, getting into the Cheerios, and then it vomited everywhere. I just remember, that's all I remember about my dream is I picked up that child by the suspenders, and I looked at somebody and said, "Would you help me? How do I?" No, you can't put him in a cage. And I was like, this is hard. So yes, I am here. Lisa says you should have a weekly parenting training. Hey, I can talk about behavior till I'm blue in the face, which I hope I'm never blue in the face, especially at this time. I have spoke to groups of teachers and had workshops in here for groups of teachers, and it focuses applied behavior analysis is not, it's about the individual. It's not about the species. It's about the individual, and it's about the laws of behavior. Yes, applied behavior analysis is used with children. It's used with people. It's used with people with special needs. But it's not all about people. It's about using the laws of behavior to get the behaviors we need without the use of force, and get the behaviors we need and the subject wants to give it to us, because you've identified positive reinforcers and delivered them, which are so much more than food. We only use food here about 45% of the time. And a lot of times when I'm talking to these teachers, they tell me the question, we have a problem child. And I'll be like, tell me the behavior. And I'm not even thinking child. I'm focusing on behavior. And they're telling me, and I was like, that's not the problem child. The other one is the one causing the problems in that child to occur. So you need to control the other child. There's your trigger. So yeah, I hope everybody stays safe. Sorry, there were so many questions. I didn't get to all of them. I'm sorry. I will go back after this live stream and answer and respond. If there are future topics you want me to address, please feel okay, something like that. You know what I'm talking about. Please feel free to contact me, and you can reach us on our website, theanimalbehaviorcenter.com, and you'll see my email address there on the contact form. Let me know what topics you'd like me to talk about. Let me know if there's topics you have I even live stream my training here in Coffee with Critters. Pay attention to our events section. I'm going to reach out, Jen, see if you're available next Sunday. So with that being said, if you're interested, if you like this live stream, this is what we do all the time. Level 1 for companion animals, level 2 for professionals, or people thinking about getting in the field. We have our different projects, and the memberships in the projects are designed to go together, but they don't have to. Some people don't want to listen to about behavior and how it applies in different species. Some people want just species specific. So we have the Deaf Dog Project, the Parrot Project, the Pig Project, the Snow Project. Join me tomorrow. I believe it is at 2 p.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. my time. I am being interviewed by the awesome professional dog trainer and friend, Vicki Ronchetti out of California, on her Facebook page called Show Dog Prep School with Vicki Ronchetti. All right. So with that being said, I hope everybody's taking care of yourself. Be well, stay safe. Thanks for attending. And I'll see you this week in the memberships, in the projects. All right. Take care, everybody. See you next week on Coffee with the Critters, Sunday at 9 a.m. Bye.